Let's be real. In today's economy, the message is pretty clear. You either change or you die. But here's the kicker. For most companies, trying to change is like walking through a minefield. The stakes couldn't be higher, and yet somehow, real success is incredibly rare. So let's dive into this and try to figure out what's going on.
Okay, get ready for this number. It's the one that just should honestly stop every leader in their tracks. A whopping 70% of all major corporate change initiatives fail. They just don't hit their goals. And that's not just a rounding error. That's a massive systemic problem. The source material we're looking at puts it perfectly. In this mad dash to transform, managers get totally lost in what they call an alphabet soup of different initiatives. And the result? Well, the researchers call it human carnage. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the very real, very heavy human cost of getting change wrong.
So the big question is, can this code actually be cracked? It turns out the answer isn't some single magic bullet or a secret formula. No, it's about really understanding the two fundamental and often totally conflicting philosophies that are driving pretty much every transformation out there. And that brings us right to the core of this whole thing, the two main archetypes of change. They're known as Theory E and Theory O. The easiest way to think about them is as the hard approach versus the soft approach to making a transformation happen. First up, we've got Theory E. And you guessed it, the E stands for economic value. This is the tough, no-nonsense approach. It's all driven from the top down with a laser focus on one thing, maximizing value for shareholders, and doing it fast. This usually means swift and, often painful moves, like massive layoffs and big restructurings. Then, on the complete other side of the spectrum, you have Theory O. Here, the O stands for organizational capability. This is the soft approach. The goal here is the long game. It's all about building a stronger, more capable company from the inside out by developing the corporate culture, building commitment, and focusing on employees' skills. And when you put these two theories side by side, wow. It becomes crystal clear just how different they really are. Take a look at leadership, for example. Theory E is totally top-down. Theory O, it's all about participation. Or look at focus. E is all about the hardware, the org charts and systems. O is focused on the software, the culture, the mindset. In pretty much every way you look at it, they are polar opposites. Okay, so theory is one thing, but how does this stuff actually play out in the real world? To see what happens, we're going to look at two companies. They were in the exact same industry, and each one went all in on an almost pure version of one of these theories. First, we have Scott Paper. It was run by a CEO named Al Dunlap, who actually loved his nickname, Chainsaw Al. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. He was the living, breathing embodiment of Theory E. He walked in the door, immediately fired 11,000 employees, and started selling off parts of the business. All of it was for one single goal: jack up the stock price and do it yesterday. In this quote from him, it really says it all. For Dunlap and anyone following the Theory E playbook, there was only one group that mattered: the shareholders. Everything else and everyone else, just a distraction from the main event. Now let's do a complete 180 and look at the polar opposite, Champion International. Their CEO, Andrew Sigler, had a totally different belief. He thought the best way to get to a healthy bottom line was to first build up his people. So he launched this massive long-term cultural shift he called the Champion Way. The Champion Way was all about shared values, communication, teamwork, getting employees involved. And get this, over a whole decade of reform, not a single person was laid off as part of the transformation. It was a pure Theory O strategy, built on a foundation of trust and commitment. So, we've got these two starkly different approaches, right? One is hard and fast, the other is slow and steady. You'd probably expect one of them to come out as the clear winner. But the reality is, well, it's a lot more surprising than that. Turns out, neither of these pure approaches actually led to a lasting victory. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Who won? Did Chainsaw Al's ruthless efficiency carry the day, or did Champion's patient, culture-first approach pay off in the long run? The answer is probably not what you're expecting.
Because in the end, neither of them really worked, not on their own. Sure, Scott Paper's stock price tripled, which looks great on paper, but the company itself was basically hollowed out, a shell of its former self, and it got sold off. And Champion? They built an absolutely fantastic culture, but their shareholder value just sat there, flat, for a decade. And you know what happened? It also got sold. This shows us the fatal flaw of going with a pure strategy. Theory E creates value, but it can destroy the organization, while Theory O builds the organization, but can fail to create that critical value.
So if going all in on one or the other is a trap, what's the answer? Well, the solution is to actually combine both theories and to do it skillfully at the same time. So let's talk about Asda, a UK grocery chain that was basically on the brink of bankruptcy. They became the poster child for how to do this right. The absolute genius of what their CEO, Archie Norman, did was integration, not just doing one then the other. Right from day one, he faced the tension between the hard and soft goals head on. The strategy was set from the top, absolutely, but the employees were engaged from the bottom up. He changed the formal structures and the company culture simultaneously. For instance, he made hard Theory E decisions like freezing wages, but then he immediately turned around and poured his time into listening to employees and building trust, which is pure Theory O. And the results? I mean, they just speak for themselves. By embracing this paradox, by doing both at once, Asda multiplied its shareholder value eightfold, 8 times. And this wasn't some temporary spike. They built a real sustainable advantage. So much so that a little company called Walmart eventually paid a huge premium to buy them, specifically because of the incredible organizational capabilities they had built.
The source material gives us this really beautiful metaphor to sum it all up. Successful change isn't a war between the hard and the soft approaches. It's a dance. It's an unending minuet between creating economic value and building organizational capability. And for the dance to work, both partners have to be perfectly in step.
And this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. It's so easy for us to lean one way or the other, to be the numbers person or the culture person. But true lasting success seems to come from mastering that really difficult dance right in the middle. So the key question for all of us is, how well is that dance being choreographed wherever you are?